All right, let's map out your future in one of the most exciting fields in science today. We are going to build the complete career roadmap for bioinformatics, step by step. Since this is still such a nascent field, a real blue ocean, not many people fully understand what to study or how to approach it. The industry is constantly evolving, and there's no single fixed syllabus out there. It can honestly feel like you're just staring at a tangled map with no clear direction. So in the course that we are starting, we're laying out a clear path forward. This curriculum is built from the ground up using real-world projects, syllabi from top institutions, and exactly the skills the industry is asking for right now. The whole focus is on practical output, not just dry theory. Seriously, think of this as your single source of truth for navigating the entire field. Our mission here is pretty simple: to give you that clarity. We want to transform that confusing, tangled map into a logical, step-by-step journey that takes you from the absolute basics all the way to the professional frontier. Every great journey starts with the first step, and every strong building starts with a solid foundation. So let's look at the non-negotiable starting blocks that every single bioinformatician needs to master. And you might be surprised, but we don't start with code. We start with the science itself. Our very first domain is all about understanding the core principles of biology and the mathematical language we use to actually describe all that biological data. Think of it like two sides of the same coin. On the bio side, we dive into the central dogma, the fundamental way DNA makes RNA and RNA makes protein, and the chemistry that even makes DNA sequencing possible. Then, on the informatics side, we build up the statistical and mathematical toolkit we need to find those real, meaningful signals hidden in all that noisy biological data. Okay, so once we have that scientific foundation firmly in place, we can start building your computational toolbox. This is where we get our hands dirty, and you acquire the practical skills you're going to use every single day. This really illustrates what we call the polyglot approach, which is essential in this field. It's not about learning just one language. It's about learning the right language for the job. Python is going to be your workhorse for building powerful automated pipelines. R is like your specialized studio for doing deep statistical analysis and creating beautiful visualizations. And SQL, that's your key to unlocking and managing these massive biological databases. But it's not just about programming. Being fluent in the Unix command line is, it's just not optional for handling large-scale data. And to make sure your research is reliable and reproducible, which is absolutely critical in science, we integrate professional software engineering practices right from the start. That means using Git to track every change you make, and tools like Docker to create these self-contained, shareable analysis environments. So now you have the tools. You know what they do, but it's time to understand how they actually work. Our next domain dives deep into the algorithmic engines that power bioinformatics. This is how you go from just using tools to truly understanding them, and maybe even improving them. This is what's happening under the hood. For example, dynamic programming is that methodical, precise algorithm that lets us perfectly align two DNA sequences. BLAST, on the other hand, uses some really clever shortcuts to search gigantic genome databases in just seconds. We also explore the probabilistic models that help us find genes and build those incredible evolutionary trees that show how all of life is connected. Okay, with our foundation solid and our toolbox ready, we can now shift gears into the application phase. This is where we take everything we've learned and start tackling real-world biological problems. We'll kick things off with one of the most common jobs in modern bioinformatics, handling those enormous data sets that come from DNA and RNA sequencing. This is all about mastering the computational pipelines that turn that raw data from a machine into actual, meaningful biological insights. A key piece of this puzzle is understanding the standard next-generation sequencing workflow. You can think of it as a complete end-to-end process. It starts with quality control on the raw sequence reads and takes you all the way to the finish line, identifying which genes are more active or less active between different experimental conditions. From sequences, we now move into 3D structures. This domain is all about how computational methods are completely revolutionizing our ability to visualize proteins and design brand new medicines. What's so fascinating here is this blend of prediction and simulation. We use game-changing AI like AlphaFold 3 to predict a protein's 3D shape just from its sequence. Then, we can use molecular docking to screen millions of potential drug compounds against that structure. We can even simulate how these molecules will wiggle, bend, and interact over time. It's amazing stuff. So let's just pause for a second. You've built your foundation and you've mastered the core applications. The logical question is, what's next? Where's the field actually heading? This is where we get to explore the cutting edge. Let's dive into some of the most exciting and fast-moving areas in bioinformatics, the places where we're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with biological science. You can think of this next stage as being driven by two really powerful connected forces: the rise of new, super specialized ways to measure biology, and the explosion of artificial intelligence that gives us incredible new ways to make sense of it all. And this is where the future is really happening right now. We're talking about everything from engineering our immune systems and creating personalized medicine to designing completely new biological systems using CRISPR. And what's powering all this? Advanced AI. We're talking foundational machine learning all the way to state-of-the-art models like GeneFormer, which are basically large language models, kind of like GPT, but trained on the language of our genes. Look, having incredible technical skills is one thing, but turning all of that into a successful career, that's a whole other ballgame. This final stage is all about professional execution, bridging that gap between knowing the material and actually getting the job. A really critical part of this is understanding the two main career tracks. Are you a bioinformatics engineer, someone who loves building robust, scalable infrastructure in the cloud? Or are you a computational biologist, someone who's more focused on statistical modeling and driving brand new biological discoveries? This roadmap is designed to prepare you for either path. And finally, we round out your skill set with the things that make you a true professional. Understanding the ethics and legal duties that come with handling sensitive patient data, learning how to communicate your results clearly, and, most importantly, building a portfolio of real projects that proves you can deliver. So let's take a step back and look at the entire journey we've just mapped out, connecting all the pieces from that very first step to the final destination. It's a completely logical progression, right? We start with the foundational sciences, we build the computational toolbox, we use those tools for core applications, push forward into advanced frontiers, and then we finish with the skills for professional execution. Each step builds directly on the one before it, creating this really comprehensive and cohesive path to expertise. Now, this has been a high-level overview, the map of the territory, so to speak. Follow along to learn more about these topics in detail because we will be covering them step by step in our upcoming explainers just like this one. To make sure you don't miss a single step of this journey, be sure to subscribe and follow. We're going to be doing deep dives into each of these domains with module by module explanations to make sure you get a crystal clear understanding of every single concept. Thanks for watching.